Hello and welcome back to our third episode of BSI's Future Learning Series. Well, it's bound to happen, and with all of the hype, energy and noise around artificial intelligence, we're excited today to present some fantastic guests to share their thinking on AI. As usual, we're going to start by looking at some of the bigger, more global trends and I guess a bit of the history of AI and what it means, and then kind of hone that down into how this is impacting workplaces, our lives, I guess, and also, I guess, a focus on learning as we move through the questions today. According to McKinsey, up to 30% of hours worked could actually be automated by 2030 with the help of AI, leading to millions of required occupational transitions. This means reskilling. This means that a whole lot of new skills will be necessary for the workforces of the future. By 2030, the analysis finds that about 27% of current hours worked in Europe and 30% of hours worked in the US could be automated or accelerated through Gen AI. Pretty sobering, salient messages, I guess, about the impact and the potential of AI on how we will live our lives and our working lives as well. Look, AI is a massive area to discuss, obviously, and we really could focus on a number of different places today. But what we're going to really do today is really start at the top, understand a little bit more about AI with our special guests today, and how it's shaping the way we work and live, what we can do to gain the most from this technology, and I guess a bit of a glimpse at the future as well. So joining us for this important conversation today, I would like to introduce our two guests who will bring to the table their vast experience and knowledge. We're really lucky to have Greg Shove here. He's the CEO of Section and a 6 times founder and CEO of tech-powered companies that rode 3 previous tech waves, internet, cloud and mobile, with 250 million in exits. Greg is also a founder at Machine & Partners, an AI consultancy, helping companies identify and prototype AI products, and Personal Math, a newsletter for professionals in their 30s and beyond. Thanks for joining us today, Greg.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Secondly, we have Tony Surtees, who is a distinguished digital entrepreneur and media innovator with leadership experience spanning Yahoo, Prime, and various startups across Sydney, Hong Kong, Singapore and San Francisco, including being the co-founder of Ztings, which was recently sold to Canva. Tony is known for his experience in digital commerce, media technology and for startup mentorship. Tony has significantly impacted the global tech landscape, earning recognition of one of Australia's top digital entrepreneurs. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you. Good morning. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Tony. It's been a while.
It has been.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that he calls me extinguished, but that's another issue.
Did I say extinct? Do I need to recap?
No,
recap
I'm
that?
only kidding.
Thanks, everybody, and really excited to have the conversation today. Look, I want to start at the very beginning and just sort of talk about a little bit for those of us that are joining today that maybe don't feel that they know a lot about AI. I'm interested in, I guess, just how AI has come to be the buzzword that it is, and also how it's impacted the world of work and business, even in just the most recent year or so. Greg, I'd love to start with you and just your perception as someone that's kind of at the centre of AI technology and working where you are in the US, with your perception of that and how you'd sort of explain what AI is to listeners that maybe don't know too much about it.
Sure. Let's go back to go forward. And let's also agree that we'll be talking about generative AI. There's other forms of AI. There's obviously been machine learning around for a while now, 10 plus years. By the way, probably the biggest AI supercomputer until recently was TikTok's. If you thought about the largest kind of deployment of AI, machine learning AI, it would have been TikTok's feed, getting all of our teenagers addicted to short form video. Now, I think the largest supercomputer for AI is probably at OpenAI or Microsoft or one of the big tech companies, maybe Google. Let's go back in order to go forward. This moment we're in today was enabled by a couple things, one of which is that 2017 research that Google did, the breakthrough they made. It's known as the Transformer paper. That was the technological breakthrough that allowed machine learning to understand context. And therefore, they'd understand if we were asking questions of the AI, what we meant by that question. Lacking context is how you get Alexa and Siri, sort of bad AI, right? They've never really met our expectations in terms of voice-activated AI. Now they will. will. Siri going forward, as Apple announced on Monday, Alexa in the future, these will be much better because they have context. That was unlocked by this research that Google engineers actually did. And of course, Google sat on that innovation. Classic incumbent dilemma. They did not want to disrupt themselves. They were concerned about their brand. They were concerned about accuracy and bias and some of the challenges that plague generative AI. So Google sat on it. So those 7 engineers left and started companies. And that's sort of how we got OpenAI. That's how we got Anthropic and some of these other AI companies. They left Google. The next necessary ingredient were more Stanford PhDs. So an ecosystem of AI PhDs, primarily here at Stanford, maybe Berkeley, MIT, of course, Harvard on the East Coast, and a few around the world, Toronto, perhaps, London, Paris, but mostly here in Silicon Valley. The last component was a lot of money to buy a lot of NVIDIA chips. And when we started using this new technological breakthrough, and we applied huge amounts of computing power, sort of exponential growth in the capabilities of AI, such that in the next 12 months, across most of our human benchmarks for math, learning, reading, comprehension, AI will surpass all the human benchmarks in the next 12 months. We've already passed a couple, and we're close on the rest. But the new versions of these AI models coming in the next 6 to 12 months, which are taking billions of dollars to create and train these models, they will pass almost all of our current human benchmarks for these kind of knowledge work tasks and capabilities. So that's how we got here, and that's why NVIDIA's stock price, probably one of the best performing stocks in the last 12 months or last couple of years even, and investors willing to fund it. And one of the things we now know is that this will be a big tech game, because it's so expensive. There'll be a very small number of new companies that can play at this foundational level of AI, creating these super models. And there'll be a few startups, maybe less than 3 at this point. The rest will be big tech. They have the resources to deploy, to build and train these new foundational capabilities. And that's sort of where we are at this moment. I'll stop and let Tony offer his perspective.